Hi everyone, welcome to the All Code. In today's video, we are going to cover variables and data types in Ruby. By the end of this video, you will have a solid understanding of how to use variables and the different data types available in Ruby. Let's get started. First, let's talk about variables. A variable is like a container that holds a value. You can use variables to store data and manipulate it throughout your program. In Ruby, you don't need to declare the type of a variable. Ruby is dynamically typed, which means the type is determined at the runtime. So let's see some examples of that. Let's define a variable called name, and so this will be a string. So let's give something like John. And if you want to define some number, integer, so we can give something like, let's say 18. Okay. Now let's try to print those using the puts method, name, and let's give one more time, age. Now let's run this program. As you can see, the value of those variables are getting printed here. In Ruby, we use snake case for variable names, which means like we generally use something like first underscore name. So this is called a snake case. For naming all different kinds of variables, methods, and all those, we generally use this snake case. Now let's go through the different types of data type available in Ruby. The most common data types are strings, integers, floats, booleans, arrays, and hashes. So we'll go over one by one and see examples of all of those. So first, let's start with strings. So strings in Ruby are represented using single quotes or double quotes. So let's create a string. So let's say first name is equal to double quotes, let's say John. And it can also be represented using single quotes. Let's say last name, Doe. Now let's try to print both of those. Let's run the program. So as you can see, both are printed. And we can also use .class method of each of the variables so that we can see what type of data type it is. So for now, let's do for this thing, first name dot class. Let's save it and let's run the program again. As you can see, that type is defined as string. Now let's see numbers. In numbers, basically we have two different types, integers and floats. So let's see both of those. So let me clear this and let me define a number called age, a variable. And let's say this is of 85 or something. And we'll also see float data type. So let's say marks equal to 82.5. And now if we print the type of both is .class, marks.class, save it and run the programming. And as here you can see, it is of integer type, the first one, and the second one is of float type. Now let's see booleans. So generally booleans are true and false. So basically these are used for conditional checking and some of the other types as well. Let's define a boolean. Let's see that with an example. So let me declare a variable called is raining and make the value as true. One more variable called is sunny. Make it as false. Now if let us use some if-else condition. If is raining, and let us print in that case, take an umbrella. And else if is sunny, let us print wear sunglasses. Else print enjoy your day. End the block. Now here what it will do is like first it will check for whether it is raining. If the condition is true, then it will print this. So this case this is a typical example of booleans and all. So generally in if-else conditions we will use. Now let's execute the program using Ruby index.rb. Now here we can see take an umbrella. So since the first condition is true, it has printed the first print statement. Yeah. Now let's see some details about arrays. Arrays are basically the ordered collection of items where you can store multiple values in a single variable. So let's see some example of that. So let me define an array of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now if you try to print that array, now let's run the program index.rb. So basically it iterates over each and every element and it prints each and every value. Arrays can be a collection of numbers, or it can be a collection of strings as well. So let's see some example of that. So let's say we define an array called names, and let's say give some name John or maybe Alice or something like that. Yeah. So let's try to print that. So yeah, now you will see that John, Alice and Doe has been printed. So this is really one of the most useful data structure which is used in all of the programming languages. In Ruby, it can be of different data type as well. So let's see some example of that. So let's say data equal to, let me give some numbers 1, 2, 3 and some name like John. So now if you try to print that, you'll see that it won't give any error and it will print successfully. Arrays also has different methods which we can use on those. So like inspect, push, and there are lots. So we'll see all those in detail in an upcoming video. Now let's move to hashes. Hashes are a collection of key value pairs in Ruby. So let's see some example of that. So let us define a person variable and let us give some name for that. Let's say John and age of, let's say 35. Okay, let's print that using the push method and let's see. So here you can see it is showing this hash. Now here you can see one unique thing. So here you can see like colon name. So this is a unique thing in Ruby which is called as symbols. So we'll see more details about symbols in one of the upcoming video. So to access this, we can use using name symbols. So if you try to run the same program, you can see you can access the name variable. You can represent hashes using one more way, like let me show you that. So let us define this as person1 and let us define one more variable called person2. Now instead of giving it like this as symbols, let us use strings for that. Let us give the same name and let us give some age called, let's say 36. Okay, let us print that person2. So this will also work, as you can see here. You can also add a key value pair directly using this syntax, like let's say person2 and I want to add something called as, let's say marks, and let's give some value like 86.5. Okay, now if you try to print that, you will see that new value has been added to the hashes. Now let's see the type of the hash using the .class method. Person.class. Let's run this program. Here you can see it is defined as hash. That's it for variables and data types in Ruby. We have covered strings, numbers, booleans, arrays, and hashes. Understanding these basics will help you write more complex and powerful Ruby programs.